Trump is no longer going to tax overtime at all, so no tax on overtime, which is great. If you ever been in a job where you get tips, no tax on tips as well. But by the way, I don't have to speculate it. Again, the election's over, so I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's kind of a waste of time. But like, Trump's first term was objectively better for people of what you want than Biden. And you're going to see it this time. You're going to see an amazing economic flourishing happen in the coming years.
I feel like that's kind of like a we'll give it to you eventually type of thing. Like, I just don't see, I don't remember that happening. I was alive 2016, 2020. That wasn't a thing where it was a big like.
It was incredible.
Well, what?
But I mean, look, how old are you? 18? You were 10 years old at the time. So I understand that you weren't as like.
In this exchange, a college student steps up, confident that he's about to land a crushing blow against Charlie Kirk with an anti-Trump argument he believes will seal the debate. At first, it comes across with energy and certainty. But the moment Charlie starts pressing with questions, the confidence begins to crack. What seemed like a knockout punch quickly turns into a revealing lesson on how fragile certain talking points can be when tested. The student leans on rhetoric, but the lack of evidence and logical consistency becomes clear almost immediately. Instead of exposing Trump, the argument exposes the weakness of relying on broad claims without solid backing. Within minutes, what began as an attack transforms into a case study in how quickly a narrative unravels when someone is willing to push past surface-level statements so let's take a closer look at this clash and pinpoint exactly where the student's reasoning broke down, step by step.
Yo, my name is John, Charlie, Riley. I think a common, like stereotype about college students, especially nowadays, we're all liberal and don't like know anything. We're all brainwashed, right? It's a common thing that's like parroted, right? What I would say is, as someone who just turned 18, goes to the school, and was able to vote the last election, I believe that Trump is not a good option for people like me, young voters, people of color who are from immigrant families and want to be able to afford things and want to be able to have a good life. I don't believe that's the right way forward. It's fair that you guys criticize the Democrats, this and that. I don't think that's the right way to go, and I'll tell you why. Trump, just for example, it's a common thing. We don't know why we hate Trump. We're all brainwashed, right? Trump said, and I quote, "Immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country." As of someone who comes from an immigrant mother, how can
illegal?
He said illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants. Okay, he said illegal immigrants are poisoning the blood. I know people who are illegal and doing the opposite of that. Okay, they're living. You wouldn't even be able to tell. Their immigration isn't on their face, and it's not. I think that you using that type of rhetoric is not really beneficial for me. Why would I vote for that?
Right from the opening line, the student leans on a familiar accusation that Donald Trump claimed immigrants are poisoning the blood of America. It sounds like a sharp charge, but Charlie Kirk wastes no time setting the record straight. He reminds both the student and the audience that Trump's remarks were directed specifically at illegal immigration, not immigrants as a whole. That distinction matters, and the student's framing leaves him exposed. Instead of admitting the slip and recalibrating, the student shifts gears mid-sentence, trying to broaden his defense of illegal immigration as though nothing was wrong. But that pivot doesn't fix the error, it highlights it. In debate, when the foundation of your point gets pulled apart, the worst move you can make is moving the goalposts. It signals to the audience that your central claim wasn't solid to begin with, and every step after that feels like scrambling to recover rather than standing firm.
Explain to me why I'd vote for that, as a young black man who has the ability to vote.
You know what isn't beneficial? What happened to Lake and Riley? I mean, you're conflating the two things. If you're here illegally in this country, you've already broken a law. You are already a criminal, therefore you should be sent back.
I mean, okay, that's the immigration thing. I'm still trying to figure out why would I vote for you, because I think even for your case too, your whole kind of thing is trans people, this and that, trans sports. I'm gonna be honest with you, with all due respect, I don't care. I don't watch sports like that. I don't watch women's sports, so why would I be like...
Do you hope to have kids one day?
Yeah, but I just don't think that's important to me right now. I'm worried about having money for myself.
What do you worry about?
I worry about cost of living. I think everyone does. If you're a young person, you care about cost of living. I do have a job. So, cost of living. We're thinking about paying our college loans. Like I have to pay my college loans. We're thinking about how can we survive, healthcare and our costs like that. What does Trump do to address that besides be like, we're going to deport people, we're going to put tariffs on, and trans people are bad.
As the exchange moves forward, the students shift strategy, steering the conversation toward everyday struggles that resonate with young voters: rising living costs, student debt, and the burden of healthcare expenses. It's an attempt to move the debate onto ground that feels personal and relatable. But here's where the tables turn. Charlie takes those very concerns and flips them back on the student. He argues that unchecked illegal immigration puts downward pressure on wages, directly hurting the same workers the student claims to defend. On top of that, he points out that Trump-backed proposals to ease financial stress, such as reducing taxes on overtime pay and service tips, issues especially relevant to students and young workers, in one move. Kirk reframes the argument, using the students' own priorities as evidence for why Trump's policies could actually benefit them. It's a classic debate maneuver. Take the logic of your opponent and show how it supports your side instead. The result is a sharp reversal that leaves the student on the defensive.
Why would I care?
Okay, so you work at, what kind of job do you work at?
Right now, I internship at a tech network type of thing, so it's unpaid, but it's a job.
All right, well, yeah, okay. So have you ever worked a job where you have overtime?
Yeah, I worked at like Taco Bell.
Well, Trump is no longer going to tax overtime at all, so no tax on overtime, which is great. Have you ever been in a job where you get tips? No tax on tips as well. And by the way, I don't have to speculate it. Again, the election's over, so I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's kind of a waste of time. But like, Trump's first term was objectively better for people of what you want than Biden. And you're going to see it this time. You're going to see an amazing economic flourishing happen in the coming years.
I feel like that's kind of like a we'll give it to you eventually type of thing. Like, I just don't see, I don't remember that happening. I was alive 2016, 2020. That wasn't a thing where it was a big like.
It was incredible.
Well, what?
But I mean, look, how old are you? 18? You were 10 years old at the time. So I understand that you weren't as like, I get it. I'm not trying to accuse you. It's just you weren't as aware of economics.
Well, in 2020, I was 15, and that was when the COVID hit, and it wasn't great back then. And he was still president, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because we locked down the entire country.
The conversation soon reveals more than just clashing policies. It highlights a generational divide. The student insists that Trump's first term didn't feel like a period of economic strength. But Charlie quickly points out a key detail. The student was too young during the pre-COVID years to fully grasp how robust the economy actually was at that time. Context matters, and age shapes perspective. Then comes the pandemic, the flashpoint that both sides try to claim as proof of their case. The student frames it as Trump's failure, while Charlie reminds the audience that some of the strictest and longest lockdowns came from Democrat-led states, not federal orders. That shifts the blame narrative and reframes the memory of that crisis. This exchange underscores an often overlooked truth about debates. It's not just the facts that matter, but when and how people experience them. Memory, timing, and context can drastically reshape how arguments land, especially when generations view the same events through very different lenses.
But when he was the president, though, when COVID hit.
Yes, and the states were the ones that locked down, right? It was California that had the most draconian lockdowns. I don't want to get too far into this.
Okay.
This is too speculative. You're going to see Trump succeed, and I want you to remember this conversation and give him credit when he does.
Sure, we'll see it when it happens.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Now let's step back and round up what unfolded in those clips. The first takeaway is simple but critical. Arguments built on shaky sound bites collapse quickly once they're challenged. The student walked in confidently, convinced he had a devastating quote. Trump supposedly saying that immigrants were poisoning America's blood. But Kirk immediately corrected him, clarifying that Trump was speaking about illegal immigration specifically. That small detail cracked the foundation of the student's entire case. Instead of pausing and acknowledging the mistake, the student doubled down and shifted mid-sentence to defend illegal immigration in general. That kind of pivot is exactly what audiences notice. When someone refuses to admit a misstep, it doesn't just weaken their credibility. It makes every argument that follows look unstable. Ironically, if he had paused and said, "Fair enough, but here's why I still think that language is damaging," he could have recovered. By refusing to concede, he came across as stubborn rather than persuasive. Second, Kirk's counterpunch strategy worked precisely because he didn't ignore the student's concerns. He absorbed them and flipped them around. The student pointed to real anxieties like student loans, healthcare costs, and wages, issues that resonate with young people everywhere. Instead of brushing them off, Kirk reframed them. he argued that illegal immigration depresses wages and reminded the audience that Trump supported cutting taxes on overtime and tips, policies directly relevant to working class and student-age Americans. This is Debate 101. When your opponent outlines their core priorities, connect those concerns to your position and show how your side addresses them better. The policies may not be universally popular, but rhetorically it's effective because it keeps momentum on your side. Rather than getting lost in culture war distractions, Kirk kept the focus on bread-and-butter economics, the very topics the student himself had raised. That shift helped him take control of the room. Third, the clash over economics revealed just how much generational perspective shapes political opinion. The student claimed that Trump's first term didn't feel prosperous, but Kirk countered that he was too young to remember the pre-COVID economic boom. That matters, because when people don't have first-hand experience of an era, they often rely on media, textbooks, or partisan retellings to shape their memory. Kirk's point was that young voters often carry narratives shaped by commentary, not lived experience, and that makes them vulnerable to selective storytelling. By pointing out the student's age gap, Kirk undercut his authority and positioned himself as the voice with greater context. Fourth, the brief but sharp exchange over transgender issues and women's sports exposed a clash between personal perspective and universal principle. The student brushed it off, saying he didn't watch women's sports and therefore didn't care. Kirk countered by framing the issue as one of fairness, safety, and cultural boundaries, arguing that certain issues matter to society even if they don't directly affect you. This contrast was powerful. One side spoke from my life, while the other argued from broader principles. In debate, dismissing something simply because it doesn't touch you personally can make you look narrow-minded. Kirk capitalized on that framing, casting the student's position as self-centered while presenting his own as protective of larger social norms. Fifth, the thread running through the entire debate was contradiction. The student began by rejecting Trump over rhetoric he misquoted, then pivoted to defending illegal immigration, then claimed Trump had done nothing for wages, only for Kirk to point to tax breaks on overtime and tips that directly addressed the concern. Each contradiction chipped away at his credibility. Meanwhile, Kirk stayed composed, consistent, and focused. In debates, audiences don't just track facts, they track demeanor. The one who holds steady while the other scrambles usually comes across